Jason Carter was a man who had everything. Money, power, and success were words that defined his life. He lived in a luxurious penthouse on the top floor of one of New York City's tallest buildings. His apartment had large windows that looked out over the bustling streets below, marble floors that gleamed under soft lighting, and furniture so expensive that most people wouldn't even dare to sit on it. But despite all this wealth, Jason often felt empty inside. There was something missing from his life, though he couldn't quite put his finger on what it was. It was a cold, rainy evening when Jason decided to walk home from work instead of taking his usual car service. The rain poured down heavily, turning the sidewalks into slippery rivers. People hurried past him, holding umbrellas or pulling their jackets tightly around themselves to shield against the weather. Jason didn't mind the rain. He found it calming in a strange way. It made him feel alive, unlike the sterile environment of boardrooms and business meetings, where he spent most of his time. As he turned the corner onto the street where his building stood, Jason noticed someone sitting on the sidewalk near the entrance. At first, he thought it was just another person trying to escape the rain under the awning of the building. But as he got closer, he realized it was a young girl. She was huddled against the wall, her arms wrapped around her knees, and her head bowed low. Her clothes were soaked through, clinging to her thin frame, and her hair hung in wet strands around her face. Jason slowed his pace, studying her for a moment. She couldn't have been more than 18 years old, but she looked much younger. There was something about her posture, her shoulders slumped forward, her body trembling slightly, that tugged at something deep within him. He didn't usually pay attention to people like her. Homeless individuals were a common sight in the city, and Jason had learned long ago to ignore them. After all, he reasoned with himself, there were shelters and charities for those kinds of problems. What could one person do? But tonight, for some reason, he couldn't look away. Maybe it was the way the raindrops glistened on her pale cheeks, making her seem almost fragile. Or maybe it was the quiet dignity in the way she sat there, not begging or shouting for help, just enduring the storm as if she had no other choice. Whatever it was, Jason felt an unfamiliar pang of guilt gnawing at him. He hesitated, then finally spoke. "Are you okay?" he asked, his voice cutting through the sound of the rain. The girl lifted her head slowly, revealing a pair of wide, wary eyes. They scanned him up and down, taking in his tailored suit and polished leather shoes. For a moment, she said nothing, her lips pressed together in a tight line. Then, in a voice barely louder than a whisper, she replied, "I'm fine." Jason raised an eyebrow. "You don't look fine," he said bluntly. "You're drenched, and it's freezing out here. Do you have somewhere to go?" She shook her head slightly, her gaze dropping back to the ground. "No," she admitted, her voice barely audible over the rain. Jason sighed. This wasn't how he planned to spend his evening. He had intended to go straight home, pour himself a glass of wine, and relax in front of the TV. Helping a random stranger was not part of the agenda. Still, he couldn't shake the feeling that leaving her here would be wrong. Against his better judgment, he took a step closer. "My place is right upstairs," he said, gesturing toward the building behind him. "You can come in, dry off, and warm up. Just for tonight." The girl blinked at him, clearly surprised by the offer. "Why are you doing this?" she asked, suspicion creeping into her tone. Jason shrugged. "Because I can," he said simply, "and because it's the right thing to do." For a long moment, she stared at him, weighing her options. Jason could see the conflict in her expression, the fear of trusting a stranger battling with the desperate need for shelter. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, she nodded. "Okay," she murmured. "Thank you." Relieved, Jason extended his hand to help her up. She hesitated before accepting it, her fingers brushing against his briefly before she pulled away. Together, they stepped inside the building. Leaving the rain behind. The lobby of Jason's building was as grand as the rest of the property. Polished marble floors reflected the golden glow of chandeliers hanging from the ceiling. A uniformed doorman greeted Jason with a polite nod, glancing curiously at the girl trailing behind him. Jason ignored the unspoken question in the man's eyes and headed straight for the elevator. Once inside, Jason pressed the button for the top floor. The ride up was silent, save for the soft hum of the machinery. The girl stood in the corner, her arms crossed tightly over her chest, her eyes fixed on the floor. Jason studied her discreetly, noting the dirt smudged across her face and the frayed edges of her worn-out jeans. Despite her disheveled appearance, there was something striking about her features, something that hinted at beauty hidden beneath the grime. When the elevator doors opened, Jason led her into his penthouse. The spacious living room stretched out before them, bathed in the warm glow of recessed lighting. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a breathtaking view of the city skyline, illuminated by the lights of countless buildings. Jason gestured for the girl to follow him as he walked toward the bathroom. "Here," he said, handing her a stack of clean towels. "Take a shower. It'll help you warm up." She accepted the towels hesitantly, clutching them to her chest like a lifeline. "Thank you," she said again, her voice soft but sincere. "You're welcome," Jason replied. "Make yourself comfortable. I'll find something for you to wear while your clothes dry." With that, he left her alone in the bathroom and retreated to his bedroom to search for spare clothes. As he rummaged through his closet, he couldn't help but wonder why he had invited her into his home. Was it guilt? Compassion? Or was it something else entirely? Whatever the reason, he knew one thing for certain. His life was about to change in ways he couldn't yet imagine. Back in the bathroom, the girl whose name was Lily Dawson stood staring at her reflection in the mirror. Her heart raced with a mixture of gratitude and anxiety. She didn't know what to make of this man who had appeared out of nowhere, offering her kindness without expecting anything in return. In her experience, such generosity was rare, and it always came with strings attached. Yet something about Jason seemed genuine, almost human. Taking a deep breath, Lily turned on the shower and stepped inside. The hot water cascaded over her skin, washing away layers of dirt and exhaustion. For the first time in months, she allowed herself to relax, if only for a little while. As steam filled the small space, she closed her eyes and let her mind drift, wondering what awaited her when she stepped back into the real world. While Lily was in the shower, Jason busied himself in the kitchen. He wasn't used to having company, especially not someone like her, and he found himself unsure of what to do next. Should he call a shelter? Offer her money? Or just let her stay for the night and send her on her way in the morning? None of these options felt right. Something about Lily's presence made him hesitate, as if she carried a weight that went beyond her circumstances. He decided to make her something warm to eat. Opening the fridge, he pulled out ingredients for a simple meal: bread, cheese, and some leftover chicken. As he worked, his thoughts drifted back to the girl in the bathroom. Who was she, really? What had driven her to the streets? And why did he feel so compelled to help her when he usually avoided getting involved in such situations? The sound of running water stopped, pulling Jason out of his thoughts. A few moments later, the bathroom door creaked open, and Lily stepped into the living room. Jason turned to look at her, expecting to see the same disheveled figure he had encountered outside. But what he saw instead left him speechless. Lily stood there, wrapped in an oversized robe that nearly swallowed her small frame. Her wet hair hung loose around her shoulders, framing her face in dark waves. The dirt and grime were gone, revealing delicate features that seemed almost too perfect to belong to someone who lived on the streets. Her eyes, wide and green, caught the light from the chandelier above, sparkling with a depth that hinted at untold stories. She looked younger now, more vulnerable, but also strikingly beautiful. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Jason stared at her, unable to tear his gaze away. He hadn't expected this transformation. It wasn't just the cleanliness or the absence of dirt. It was something deeper, something intangible. She seemed different, like a completely new person had emerged from beneath the layers of hardship. Lily shifted uncomfortably under his scrutiny, tugging the robe tighter around herself. "Is something wrong?" she asked quietly, her voice tinged with uncertainty. Jason blinked, snapping out of his daze. "No," he said quickly, shaking his head. "It's just, you look different." She frowned slightly, glancing down at herself. Different how? "I don't know," Jason admitted, running a hand through his own damp hair. "You just clean up well, I guess." Lily gave him a faint smile, though it didn't quite reach her eyes. "Thanks," she muttered. "I think." Clearing his throat, Jason gestured toward the dining table. "I made you something to eat. It's nothing fancy, but it should help." Her stomach growled audibly at the mention of food, and she blushed, embarrassed. "That sounds good," she said, following him to the table. "Thank you." They sat down across from each other, and Lily began eating slowly, savoring each bite as if it were her first meal in days. Jason watched her silently, noting the way her hands trembled slightly as she held the sandwich. She ate with a mix of hunger and restraint, as though she were afraid of appearing greedy. It was a subtle detail, but one that struck him deeply. "So," Jason began after a while, breaking the silence. "What's your name?" "Lily," she replied between bites. "Lily Dawson." "Well, Lily," Jason said, leaning back in his chair, "how did you end up out there?" Lily paused, lowering the sandwich onto her plate. For a moment, she looked like she might refuse to answer. Then, with a sigh, she said, "It's kind of a long story." "I've got time," Jason said. Gently, she hesitated again, staring at her hands. When she finally spoke, her voice was soft, almost hesitant. "I ran away from home 2 years ago. Well, not exactly home. It was a foster house. Things weren't great there, so I left. Been on my own ever since." Jason nodded slowly, trying to imagine what it must have been like for her. "That couldn't have been easy." "It wasn't," Lily admitted, "but it was better than staying." She glanced up at him briefly before looking away. "I've learned how to survive. People don't notice you if you keep your head down and stay quiet." "That must be lonely," Jason said without thinking. Lily shrugged, as if loneliness was just another part of life she had grown accustomed to. "It's not so bad. You get used to it." Jason wanted to ask more questions, to dig deeper into her past and understand what had driven her to such extremes. But he could see the walls rising in her expression, the guarded look that told him she wouldn't say any more. Instead, he changed the subject. "Do you have family? Anyone you can go to?" He asked carefully. "No," Lily said firmly. "And even if I did, I wouldn't want to bother them." Something in her tone suggested there was more to the story, but Jason didn't push. He knew better than to pry too hard. Instead, he focused on the present, determined to offer her whatever comfort he could. "You're welcome to stay here tonight," he said. "There's a guest room you can use. We'll figure out what to do tomorrow." Lily looked at him, surprise flickering across her face. "You don't have to do that," she said. "I mean, I appreciate it, but I don't want to impose." "It's no trouble," Jason assured her. "Besides, it's raining pretty hard out there. You'd catch a cold if you went back outside." She hesitated, clearly torn between gratitude and caution. After a moment, she nodded. Okay, thank you. Relieved, Jason smiled. Good. Now finish eating, and I'll show you where everything is. As Lily resumed her meal, Jason couldn't shake the feeling that this encounter was significant somehow. There was something about her, something he couldn't quite put his finger on, that intrigued him. It wasn't just her appearance or her story. It was the way she carried herself, the quiet strength that lingered beneath her fragile exterior. He sensed that she was hiding something, but whether it was fear, pain, or something else entirely, he couldn't tell Dot after dinner. Jason gave Lily a quick tour of the penthouse. He showed her the guest room, which was modestly furnished, but still far more luxurious than anything she was used to. He handed her a pair of sweatpants and a t-shirt borrowed from his closet, explaining that they would be big on her, but comfortable enough to sleep in. She thanked him quietly, holding the clothes close to her chest like treasures. "Let me know if you need anything," Jason said as he headed toward his own bedroom. "I'll be right down the hall." "Okay," Lily replied, giving him a small, grateful smile. "Good night." "Good night," Jason said, closing the door behind him. Dot back in his room, Jason leaned against the wall, letting out a long breath. He hadn't planned for any of this to happen. Inviting a stranger into his home wasn't something he normally did or even considered doing. Yet here he was, sharing his space with someone whose life couldn't have been more different from his own. Dot. As he prepared for bed, Jason's mind raced with unanswered questions. Who was Lily Dawson, really? Why did she seem so guarded, yet so strangely familiar? And most importantly, why did he feel so drawn to her? Sleep came slowly that night, weighed down by thoughts of the girl sleeping just a few doors away. Little did Jason know, his decision to help her would set off a chain of events that would change both their lives forever. Dot in the guest room. Lily lay awake, staring at the ceiling. The softness of the mattress beneath her was almost overwhelming. After months of sleeping on hard pavement or park benches, she couldn't remember the last time she had felt safe, truly safe, in a place like this. But even as relief washed over her, a nagging sense of unease lingered. She didn't trust easily, not anymore, and despite Jason's kindness, she couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to him than met the eye. Dot as the rain continued to patter against the windows, Lily closed her eyes, willing herself to rest. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new uncertainties. But for now, she allowed herself the luxury of pretending for just one night that everything might turn out okay. The next morning, sunlight streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows of Jason's penthouse, casting golden rays across the sleek marble floors. Jason woke up earlier than usual, his mind still heavy with thoughts of Lily. He couldn't shake the feeling that something about her was different. Not in a bad way, but in a way that made him curious, almost restless. After showering and dressing, he decided to check on her. When he knocked lightly on the guest room door, there was no answer. Frowning, Jason pushed the door open. Cautiously, the bed was neatly made, the borrowed clothes folded and placed on top of the blanket. For a moment, panic gripped him. Had she left? Had she run off during the night, thinking he might change his mind about helping her? But then he heard faint sounds coming from the living room. Stepping out, he found Lily standing near the large windows, gazing out at the city below. She had changed back into her own clothes, which were now clean and dry, thanks to the washing machine. Her damp hair hung loose around her shoulders, and she looked smaller somehow, as if the weight of the world had settled back onto her slight frame. "You're awake," Jason said, breaking the silence. Lily turned to face him, startled. "Oh, hi," she said softly. "I didn't mean to wake up so early. I just couldn't sleep." "It's okay," Jason replied, walking over to join her by the window. "Did you sleep well?" She nodded, though her expression betrayed a hint of hesitation. "Yeah, I did." Thanks again for letting me stay here. No problem, Jason said, leaning against the glass. Listen, I've been thinking. If you want, you can stay here a little longer while we figure things out. You don't have to rush back outside. Lily blinked, clearly taken aback by the offer. You really mean that? Of course, Jason said firmly. I know it's not easy out there. And honestly, I'd feel better knowing you're safe. For a moment, she didn't respond, her green eyes searching his face as if trying to gauge whether he was sincere. Finally, she gave a small nod. Okay. Thank you. Relieved, Jason smiled. Good. Now, are you hungry? I can make breakfast. That would be great, Lily admitted, her stomach growling audibly in agreement. As they moved to the kitchen, Lily began noticing details about the apartment that she hadn't paid attention to the night before. The walls were adorned with abstract paintings that seemed almost otherworldly, their colors swirling together in patterns that defied logic. The furniture gleamed with an unusual metallic sheen, and there was a faint hum in the air, a low, constant vibration that reminded her of static electricity. What's that sound? Lily asked suddenly, glancing around. Jason froze for a fraction of a second, then forced a casual smile. What sound? That humming noise, she said, tilting her head slightly. It's like everywhere. Oh, that, Jason said, quickly, waving a hand dismissively. It's probably just the building's ventilation system or something. Don't worry about it. Lily frowned, but didn't press further. Instead, she focused on helping him prepare breakfast, slicing fruit, and setting the table while he cooked scrambled eggs and toast. As they ate together, the conversation flowed more easily this time. Jason asked her about her interests, her favorite foods, anything to keep the mood light. Lily answered hesitantly at first, but as the meal went on, she began opening up a bit more. I used to love drawing, she admitted when Jason asked what she enjoyed doing. Back when I lived with my foster family, I'd spend hours sketching pictures in notebooks. It was the only thing that made me happy. Why did you stop? Jason asked. Lily shrugged. I guess life got in the way. When you're trying to survive, you don't have much time for hobbies. Jason nodded thoughtfully. Do you still draw sometimes? Not really, she said quietly. I lost all my stuff when I ran away. Haven't had the chance to pick it up again. Well, Jason said, a spark of inspiration lighting in his eyes. Maybe we can fix that. There's an art supply store nearby. We could go later today if you want. Lily stared at him, surprised. You'd do that for me? Sure, Jason said with a shrug. Why not? Everyone deserves something to look forward to. Her lips curved into a tentative smile, and for the first time since meeting her, Jason saw a flicker of genuine happiness in her eyes. It was a small victory, but it meant something to him. After breakfast, they cleaned up together, chatting casually about nothing in particular. Lily seemed more relaxed now, her earlier wariness melting away bit by bit. But as they finished tidying the kitchen, she noticed something strange. One of the paintings on the wall appeared slightly crooked. Curious, she reached out to adjust it and froze. Behind the painting was a hidden panel embedded in the wall, glowing faintly with a soft blue light. Intricate symbols etched into its surface pulsed rhythmically, as if alive. Lily's breath caught in her throat, and she instinctively stepped back, her heart pounding. What is that? She whispered, pointing at the panel. Jason cursed under his breath, realizing too late that he had forgotten to secure the painting properly. There was no point denying it now. Sighing deeply, he walked over to stand beside her. That, he said slowly, is part of something I should have told you about sooner. Lily turned to him, her wide eyes filled with confusion and suspicion. What are you talking about? What is that thing? Jason hesitated, weighing his options. He knew he couldn't keep lying to her, not after everything she had already been through. Taking a deep breath, he gestured toward the couch. "Sit down," he said gently. "I owe you an explanation." Reluctantly, Lily followed him to the living room, perching on the edge of the cushion, as if ready to bolt at any moment. Jason sat across from her, his elbows resting on his knees as he struggled to find the right words. "The truth is," he began, "I'm not just a regular guy who happens to be wealthy. I'm involved in something bigger, something most people wouldn't believe." "What kind of something?" Lily asked, her voice tight with apprehension. Jason glanced at the hidden panel, then back at her. "Aliens," he said simply. "Or rather, alien technology. That panel you saw is connected to a power source buried beneath this building. It's been here for decades, and I'm part of a group tasked with studying and protecting it." Lily stared at him, her jaw slack. With disbelief. "You're serious?" "As serious as it gets," Jason said grimly. "I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. And before you ask, yes, I understand why you might think I'm lying, but I swear, every word I'm saying is real." For several long moments, Lily said nothing, her mind racing to process what he had just told her. Alien technology? Hidden. Panels? Power sources? It sounded like something out of a science fiction movie, not real life. Yet, looking into Jason's eyes, she could see the sincerity in his expression. He wasn't joking, or at least, he didn't seem to be. Finally, she spoke. "If this is true, why are you telling me?" "Why does it matter?" Jason sighed, running a hand through his hair. "Because I think you're connected to it somehow." "Connected?" Lily echoed, her voice rising slightly. "How could I possibly be connected to alien tech?" "I don't know yet," Jason admitted. "But last night, when you came out of the shower, I noticed something. You changed. Not just physically, but in a way that felt significant. Like you were resonating with something in this apartment. And now, seeing your reaction to that panel..." He trailed off, leaving the implication hanging in the air. Lily sat there, stunned, her thoughts spinning wildly. Could it be possible? Was she somehow linked to this mysterious technology? And if so, what did that mean for her future? As the reality of the situation sank in, Lily realized one thing for certain. Her life would never be the same again. Lily sat frozen on the couch, her mind struggling to make sense of what Jason had just told her. Alien technology? A hidden power source? And now, somehow, she was connected to it all? It felt like a story ripped straight out of a movie, too wild to be real. Yet, looking at Jason's earnest expression, she couldn't dismiss it as a lie. He believed every word he said, and that made her question everything she thought she knew about the world and herself. "You're saying I'm connected to this alien stuff?" Lily asked slowly, her voice trembling slightly. "How is that even possible?" Jason leaned forward, his elbows resting on his knees as he tried to explain. "I don't have all the answers yet," he admitted. "But when you touched that panel earlier, something happened. The symbols lit up brighter than they ever have before. It reacted to you in a way I've never seen it react to anyone else." Lily glanced toward the hidden panel, still glowing faintly behind the painting. She hadn't meant to touch it. It had been an accident, but now she wondered if there was more to her actions than she realized. Was she truly special in some way? Or was this all just a bizarre coincidence? "I don't understand," she murmured, shaking her head. "Why would alien tech care about me? I'm nobody. Just a girl who's been living on the streets." "You're not just anything," Jason said firmly. "There's something about you, Lily. Something important. And I think figuring it out could help us both." "Help you how?" Lily asked, narrowing her eyes. "What do you get out of this?" Jason hesitated, choosing his words carefully. "The organization I work for, they're not exactly benevolent. They want to use the alien tech for their own purposes. Weaponization, surveillance, control. If we can figure out what makes you different, maybe we can stop them from doing something dangerous. Lily stared at him, her mind racing. This was a lot to take in. Not only was she suddenly tied to some mysterious alien force, but now she was being asked to play a role in stopping a powerful group of people. It sounded impossible, like something someone like her could never handle. But deep down, a small part of her felt drawn to the idea. For once, she might actually matter. She might have a purpose beyond simply surviving day by day. "What do I need to do?" she asked quietly, surprising even herself with the question. Jason blinked, caught off guard by her willingness. "Are you sure you want to get involved in this?" "It's risky, Lily. These people aren't going to let us stand in their way without consequences." "I didn't say I wasn't scared," she replied, her voice gaining strength. "But I also don't see why I should run away again. You've been honest with me so far, Jason, and honestly, I'm tired of running. If there's a chance I can help, maybe I should try." Jason studied her for a moment, seeing a determination in her eyes that hadn't been there before. He nodded slowly. "Okay," he said. "If you're serious, then we'll start by learning more about the tech and about you." Later that afternoon, Jason led Lily to a hidden chamber beneath the penthouse. The entrance was disguised as a utility closet, but inside was a narrow staircase spiraling downward into darkness. At the bottom, a heavy steel door greeted them, requiring a fingerprint scan and passcode to open. Jason entered the code swiftly, and the door slid aside with a soft hiss. The room beyond was unlike anything Lily had ever seen. Rows of sleek, futuristic machines lined the walls, their surfaces shimmering with a metallic blue glow. In the center of the space stood a large console covered in intricate panels and holographic displays. Star maps floated in midair, shifting and rotating as if alive, while streams of data scrolled across transparent screens. The hum she had noticed upstairs was louder here, vibrating through the floor and filling the air with an almost electric energy. "This is where we keep the alien tech," Jason explained, gesturing around the room. "Most of it is dormant or damaged, but enough of it works to give us clues about its origins and its potential." Lily stepped further into the chamber, her heart pounding with a mix of awe and fear. Everything about this place felt otherworldly, as if she had stepped into another dimension entirely. As she approached one of the machines, her fingers brushed against its surface instinctively. The moment she made contact, the machine sprang to life, its lights intensifying and its display flickering rapidly. Jason watched in amazement as the system responded to her touch, reacting in ways he had never witnessed before. Symbols appeared on the screen, pulsing in sync with the rhythm of her heartbeat. Even the star maps seemed to shift, focusing on specific points in space, as if guided by her presence. "How are you doing that?" Jason asked, his voice tinged with disbelief. I don't know," Lily stammered, pulling her hand back quickly. "I didn't mean to." "It's okay," Jason assured her, moving closer. "This is incredible. Whatever connection you have to this tech, it's stronger than I imagined. We need to figure out why." Over the next few hours, they experimented cautiously, testing Lily's interactions with various pieces of equipment. Each time she touched a device, it responded uniquely, sometimes revealing new information or activating functions that had remained dormant for years. It became clear that Lily wasn't just a passive observer. She was a key, a catalyst capable of unlocking secrets buried within the alien technology. As the day wore on, Lily began to feel overwhelmed. The weight of what she was discovering pressed heavily on her shoulders. She wasn't just a homeless girl anymore. She was someone or something with extraordinary abilities. The realization was both thrilling and terrifying, leaving her unsure of who she really was. "Do you think I'm not human?" she asked hesitantly during a break, her voice barely above a whisper. Jason frowned, considering the question. I don't know, he admitted. But whatever you are, it doesn't change the fact that you're still you. Your kindness, your courage, that's all real. None of this takes that away. His words brought a small measure of comfort, though the uncertainty lingered. Lily knew she couldn't turn back now. Too much depended on understanding her connection to the alien tech, and too much rested on her decision to trust Jason. By the time they returned to the main level of the penthouse, night had fallen outside. Exhausted but determined, Lily collapsed onto the couch, her mind buzzing with questions and possibilities. Jason joined her, handing her a glass of water. We'll figure this out together, he promised, one step at a time. Lily nodded, grateful for his reassurance. Despite everything, she felt a glimmer of hope, a sense that her life, once filled with despair, might finally have meaning. Whatever challenges lay ahead, she was ready to face them, not because she had no choice, but because she wanted to. For the first time in years, she felt like she belonged somewhere, even if that somewhere was among the stars. The next morning, Lily woke up early, her mind still spinning from the events of the previous day. She couldn't stop thinking about the alien technology and the strange connection she seemed to have with it. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw flashes of glowing symbols and star maps dancing in her mind, as if they were burned into her memory. It was exhilarating, but also overwhelming, like carrying a secret too big for one person. Jason had given her the guest room again for a night, but sleep had been elusive. Instead, she lay awake staring at the ceiling, replaying everything that had happened since she stepped into his apartment. From the moment she touched that hidden panel, her life had changed completely. No longer was she just a girl trying to survive on the streets. No, she was someone tied to something far greater than herself. And though the idea terrified her, it also gave her a sense of purpose she hadn't felt in years. When she finally emerged from the guest room, Jason was already up, sitting at the dining table with a laptop open in front of him. He looked up as she entered, giving her a small smile. "Good morning," he said. "I hope you slept okay." "Not really," Lily admitted, rubbing her eyes. "Too much on my mind." Jason nodded sympathetically. "I get it. This is a lot to process. But we'll take it slow, one step at a time." Lily sat down across from him, noticing the files spread out on the table. Some were printed documents, while others appeared to be digital scans displayed on the laptop screen. Curious, she leaned forward slightly. "What's all this?" she asked. "Research," Jason replied, tapping the edge of the laptop. "I've been digging through old records related to the alien tech. There are mentions of similar cases, people who interacted with the devices in ways no one else could. I'm hoping to find some clues about what makes you different." Lily frowned. "You think there are others like me?" "It's possible," Jason said thoughtfully. "But if there are, they've either gone unnoticed or disappeared entirely. That's why this is so important. We need to figure out what you can do before anyone else finds out." The weight of his words settled over her. She had known from the start that this wasn't just about discovery. It was about protection. If the organization Jason worked for, or worse, their enemies, discovered her abilities, they wouldn't hesitate to use her for their own purposes. The thought sent a chill down her spine. "Do you think they're watching us?" she asked quietly. Jason hesitated before answering. "Probably not yet. They don't know about you, and I intend to keep it that way for as long as possible. But we can't afford to be careless." Lily swallowed hard, nodding. "Okay, so what's the plan?" "For now," Jason said, closing the laptop and pushing it aside, "we focus on learning more about your connection to the tech. You reacted strongly to certain devices yesterday. We'll test those reactions further, see if we can identify patterns or triggers. And then what? Lily pressed. What happens after we learn more? That depends on what we find, Jason admitted. If we can decode the information stored in the tech, we might uncover its true purpose and maybe even its origin. That knowledge could give us leverage against the people who want to exploit it. Lily nodded slowly, absorbing his words. It sounded dangerous, but also necessary. She didn't fully understand the stakes, but she trusted Jason enough to believe that he was telling the truth. For better or worse, they were in this together. Later that day, they returned to the hidden chamber beneath the penthouse. This time, Jason brought along a tablet loaded with diagnostic tools designed to measure energy fluctuations and biological responses. As Lily stood in front of one of the machines, he attached sensors to her wrists and temples, explaining that they would help track how her body interacted with the tech. Ready? He asked, glancing at her. As ready as I'll ever be? Lily replied. Taking a deep breath, she reached out tentatively, placing her hand on the surface of the machine. Instantly, the device roared to life, its lights flaring brightly as streams of data flooded the screens around them. The hum in the room grew louder, vibrating through the floor and walls. On the tablet, graphs spiked wildly, showing massive surges in energy output. Whoa, Jason muttered, his eyes wide with astonishment. This is incredible. What does it mean? Lily asked, pulling her hand back quickly as the machine began to calm down. It means you're generating power, Jason explained, scrolling through the readings. Massive amounts of it. Whatever your connection is to this tech, it's amplifying your natural energy. It's almost like you're part of it. Lily stared at him, her heart racing. Part of it? What does that even mean? I don't know yet, Jason admitted. But it's clear that you're not just activating the tech, you're fueling it. Without you, these machines wouldn't function at this level. The realization hit Lily like a punch to the gut. She wasn't just connected to the alien technology. She was essential to it. The implications were staggering. Was she created for this purpose? Or had she somehow been altered by the tech itself? Either way, it raised questions about her identity that she wasn't sure she was ready to answer. As they continued testing, Lily noticed something else. The more she interacted with the machines, the clearer the images in her mind became. Symbols she had never seen before began appearing, vivid and sharp, as if they were pieces of a puzzle waiting to be solved. She tried describing them to Jason, sketching rough outlines on a notepad. These look familiar, Jason said, examining her drawings. They match some of the patterns I've seen in the encrypted messages stored in the system. Maybe you're starting to decode them subconsciously. If I am, Lily said, her voice tinged with frustration. Why can't I control it? Why does it feel like it's happening to me instead of because of me? You're still learning, Jason reminded her gently. This is uncharted territory for both of us. Give yourself time. Despite his reassurances, Lily couldn't shake the feeling that she was losing control. The alien tech wasn't just responding to her, it was changing her. Every interaction left her feeling more powerful, but also more disconnected from the person she used to be. Who was she becoming? And would she still recognize herself when this was all over? By the end of the day, exhaustion weighed heavily on both of them. They returned to the main level of the penthouse, where Lily collapsed onto the couch while Jason poured 2 glasses of water. We're making progress, he said, handing her a glass. But we need to be careful. Pushing too hard could put you at risk. I know, Lily replied, sipping the water gratefully. But we don't have much time, do we? If someone figures out what I can do, they won't, Jason interrupted firmly. Not if we stay ahead of them. Trust me, Lily, I'm not going to let anything happen to you. His words brought a flicker of comfort, though the fear remained. Lily knew they were walking a dangerous line, balancing discovery with survival. But she also knew that turning back wasn't an option. Too much depended on understanding her connection to the alien tech and using it to protect the world from those who would misuse it. As night fell outside, Lily found herself staring out the window at the city below. Millions of lives stretched out before her, oblivious to the secrets hidden beneath their feet. Somewhere in the vastness of space, answers awaited answers that only she could uncover. And though the journey ahead was uncertain, she felt a spark of determination ignite within her. For the first time in her life, Lily Dawson wasn't running. She was fighting for herself, for Jason, and for the future of humanity. Whatever challenges lay ahead, she was ready to face them head-on. Days turned into weeks as Lily and Jason worked tirelessly to unravel the mysteries of the alien technology. Each day brought new discoveries, but also new challenges. The more they learned, the clearer it became that Lily's connection to the tech was far deeper than either of them had imagined. She wasn't just a key to unlocking its secrets, she was an integral part of it, almost like a bridge between humanity and whatever force had created the devices. Lily spent hours in the hours. Hidden chamber, testing her abilities and deciphering the symbols that appeared in her mind. With Jason's help, she began piecing together fragments of encrypted messages stored within the machines. Slowly, a story started to emerge, a tale of advanced civilizations, interstellar travel, and a warning about the dangers of misusing their technology. It was overwhelming, but also awe-inspiring. For the first time in her life, Lily felt like she had a purpose greater than herself. But with each breakthrough came a growing sense of unease. The organization Jason worked for, the same group tasked with protecting the tech, wasn't content to let them work in peace. They were watching, waiting, and growing impatient. Jason received cryptic messages on his phone late at night, demanding updates and hinting at consequences if he failed to deliver results. He tried to shield Lily from the pressure, but she could see the tension etched into his face. One evening, after another long day of experiments, Jason sat down across from Lily in the living room. His expression was grim, his shoulders heavy. With worry, "They're getting closer," he said quietly. "I don't know how much longer we can keep this hidden." Lily's heart sank. "What does that mean? Are they going to come here?" "Eventually," Jason admitted. "And when they do, they'll want answers. If they find out what you can do." He didn't need to finish the sentence. Lily already knew. They would take her, exploit her abilities, and discard her once they had no further use for her. The thought made her stomach churn. "We can't let that happen," Lily said firmly, her voice trembling but resolute. "If they're coming, we have to be ready." Jason nodded, admiration flickering in his eyes. Despite everything, Lily had grown stronger, not just in her connection to the tech, but in her determination to fight back. She was no longer the frightened girl who had shown up on his doorstep weeks ago. She was someone entirely new. The next morning, they devised a plan. Jason gathered supplies and secured the penthouse, reinforcing locks and setting up surveillance systems to monitor anyone approaching the building. Meanwhile, Lily focused on mastering her abilities, pushing herself harder than ever before. She practiced controlling the flow of energy between herself and the machines, learning to activate specific functions without triggering unnecessary alarms. It was exhausting work, both mentally and physically, but she refused to give up. As they prepared, Jason revealed something he had been keeping hidden: a map of underground tunnels beneath the city. These tunnels connected to the hidden chamber and led to a secure exit miles away. If things went wrong, they could use the tunnels to escape undetected. "It's our backup plan," Jason explained, spreading the map across the dining table. "We won't need it unless absolutely necessary. But I'd rather be safe than sorry." Lily studied the map carefully, committing the routes to memory. "What happens if we have to leave?" she asked, Where will we go? Somewhere. Remote, Jason replied. A place where they won't think to look. We'll regroup and figure out our next move. Though the idea of fleeing filled her with dread, Lily understood the necessity. Staying put meant risking capture and losing everything they had worked so hard to achieve. Their preparations proved timely. 2 nights later, the sound of footsteps echoed through the hallway outside Jason's penthouse. Someone was trying to break in. Jason sprang into action, grabbing a small device from the kitchen counter and activating it. The lights dimmed, plunging the apartment into semi-darkness. He motioned for Lily to follow him, and together they slipped into the hidden staircase leading to the chamber below. They moved quickly, their footsteps muffled by the thick carpet lining the stairs. When they reached the steel door, Jason entered the code hastily, and it slid open with a soft hiss. Inside, the machines hummed softly, responding to Lily's presence. "We need to disable the main console," Jason whispered urgently. "It'll erase any traces of your interactions with the tech. That way, even if they get in, they won't find anything useful." Lily nodded, stepping toward the central console. Closing her eyes, she placed her hands on its surface, focusing all her energy on disrupting its core systems. The machine flared brightly, its lights pulsing erratically before dimming completely. A faint whirring noise signaled that the data had been wiped clean. "Done," Lily said, pulling her hands back. Her body ached from the effort, but she pushed the fatigue aside. "Good job," Jason said, gripping her shoulder briefly. "Now, let's get out of here." They hurried to the far end of the chamber, where a concealed doorway led to the underground tunnels. As they descended into the darkness, the distant sound of voices filtered down from above. The intruders had breached the penthouse. "This way," Jason urged, shining a flashlight ahead of them. The narrow tunnel twisted and turned, damp air clinging to their skin as they navigated its labyrinthine passages. After what felt like hours, they emerged into a deserted alleyway blocks away from the building. Breathing heavily, they paused to catch their breath. Lily glanced back at the towering skyscrapers in the distance, her chest tight with emotion. Everything she had known for the past few weeks was now behind her. Yet, despite the loss, she felt a strange sense of freedom. They were still alive, still fighting, and as long as they stood together, there was hope. Over the following days, Jason and Lily traveled to a secluded cabin nestled deep in the woods. It was a modest place, far removed from the chaos of the city, but it offered safety and solitude. There, they continued their research, using portable versions of the alien tech that Jason had smuggled out of the penthouse before their escape got. As they worked, their bond grew stronger. Jason taught Lily how to defend herself, both physically and mentally, while she helped him interpret the symbols and messages embedded in the tech. Together, they uncovered fragments of a larger truth. The alien civilization that had created the technology had left Earth centuries ago, leaving behind tools meant to guide humanity toward peace and progress. But those tools carried immense power, and with it, the potential for destruction. "We're not just fighting for ourselves," Lily said one evening as they sat by the fire. "We're fighting for everyone. If the wrong people get hold of this tech, it could destroy the world. And if we succeed," Jason added, "we might change it for the better." Lily smiled faintly, staring into the flames. She had come a long way from the girl who had huddled against a cold wall, drenched and desperate. Now she was a guardian of secrets, a protector of possibilities. Her journey was far from over, but she was ready to face whatever lay ahead. In the quiet of the forest, surrounded by stars and shadows, Lily and Jason vowed to keep moving forward. They were no longer strangers bound by chance. They were allies united by destiny. Together, they would uncover the truth, confront their enemies, and shape the future of humanity. Little did they know their greatest challenge was yet to come. But for now, they rested, drawing strength from each other and the knowledge that they were not alone. Whatever the universe had in store for them, they would meet it head on with courage, determination, and hope.